Annyeonghaseyo. In this episode of Film Stock Reviews, I'm reviewing episode 1 of Hellbound. Now, Hellbound is an anticipated Korean original Netflix series, and Netflix is dishing out the Korean content this year with Squid Game, My Name, and now this. This is crazy, and it's amazing how it starts. Basically, we find a guy sitting in a cafeteria or a coffee shop, and he's just waiting for something. All of a sudden, his clock on his phone changes to 1:20 p.m. He looks around, nothing. He looks disheveled. He looks like he's panicked. He's nervous. You know, that anxiety's kicking in. And then all of a sudden, bang, these creatures who are the size of God knows what barge in through the windows and just start attacking him. They call them creatures in this, but there's no given name yet to these beings from another world. The way this episode starts is crazy. All of a sudden, he's running through the streets of Korea trying to get away from these creatures, so to speak, and then they attack him. And the way they attack him is really, really brutal. They go after him, and all of a sudden, they just want him. They want his soul. And the way they take his soul is so brutal that you wouldn't expect the way this episode starts. Like I said, that's the intro, and then we get the title sequence and the name of this show. We're then introduced to a detective who is put on the case to find out what happened to this guy, and then we're introduced to Jung Jin-soo, the so-called leader of the New Truth, which is an organization which kind of, they know about these creatures, but we don't know ourselves about these creatures. He says that things are done in a certain way by the act of God. These things are bring down from God. They take them, and then that's it. That's what happens. So the detective calls it murder, but Jung Ji-soo looks at it and doesn't see it as murder, but more so repent for their sins, so to speak. And then we get the, gist of how much of a following this New Truth leader has. They interrogate and they talk to him on the subway train, and then all of a sudden we see this older woman who's maybe in her mid-60s like, "Oh, please, Jung Ji-soo, take my seat." And all of a sudden people know who he is, and the detectives realize he actually has a following. Over the course of the episode, we find that the detective has a very dark past and history with himself and something that happened in his past, and he wants to try and right wrong. And it's really interesting. It's a really sad story that he has, and over the course of the episode, he's trying to find out what to do. We do get flashbacks in this episode of what happened to his family, I want to say. I don't want to give any spoilers away. And how his daughter is, trying to find her way too. So and then the detective is investigating a certain thing, a case that happened back in the day when he was on the job. And he's really emotional about it, and it happened to someone very close to him. And he's trying to figure things out. But then Jung Ji-soo gives him a card and tells him, "If you have any problems, please call me." So I'm pretty sure the detective is going to take into consideration about something that Jung Ji-soo said to him, and we definitely won't see the last of the communication between these two. So then we're introduced to a mother of two who is working at one of the vendors on the side streets, and then she goes home, and her kids, her son and daughter, surprise her with a cake, and then all of a sudden she blows out the candles, and then this image of this silhouette, this demonic looking presence, which is all in white or sand, comes to her and says, "You're going to die in 5 days. From now, you're going to hell." What? Holy shit, what just happened? What just happened? We don't know the story. We don't know why she's going. But then it's just unraveling as we're watching it. And then we're also introduced to the Arrowhead, a organization who is kind of like the New Truth in a way. But the guy is dressed up in a neon thing, talking to his followers on a YouTube channel, trying to understand what's happening. "Oh, we do this for the Arrowhead. We do good for the people. The New Truth is this. The New Truth is that." So it's like a cult versus a cult, and it's just insane. And in order to do certain things, the Arrowhead kind of take people in, and then they beat them for their sins, and then it's just a crazy, crazy, crazy thing that's happening in this episode 1. So the woman who had that vendor on the street goes to this lawyer, and evidently this lawyer is somehow connected to the New Truth and Jung Ji-soo. So she meets with Jung Ji-soo, and then he tells her like, "Oh, we want to do something very special. We want to broadcast this, event." And then the lawyer's like, "Excuse me, I don't know what you mean." They want to broadcast the event of this woman going to hell. So we find out that, either Jung Ji-soo looks like he's a very calm, coy kind of, guy, but he's not. He has a motive. He has one big motive. And that's the thing. What's happening in this episode? Is it the new truth? Is it the hour head? Who are they? What's the story with the detective? How did Jung Ji-soo become what he is now, of this, leader of the new truth? There also is a flashback and a backstory to how Jung Ji-soo kind of, discovered these creatures somehow in Tibet. They have some spiritual connection with Tibet. I don't know. I'm really curious to find out what happens. But, hey, this is a great start to this series on Netflix. It's fantastic. The trailers are great. A lot of great feedback from the trailers. And this first episode is really, really intriguing and entangling. And it's fantastic. I love it. I love the acting. I love the story. It's very slow moving for some people, probably. But the way the anticipation builds is great. Of course, the way they introduced everything in the opening act of this first episode was really fun, because we got a glimpse of that in the teaser trailer and some of the trailers that were released. And then all of a sudden we get these slow movements of who these characters are. We're getting a lot of answers about who these characters are, the development of these characters. Jung Ji-soo, the lawyer, the detective. The list goes on and on and on. We're not even introduced to certain other characters that are probably coming in later episodes. This is the first season of Hellbound, and this has 6 episodes, so it's going to be very quick moving. It's going to be fast paced for sure, and I definitely guarantee you we'll get a lot of answers as to what these creatures are, how this Hellbound thing happens, and what the connection is between the spiritual realm, the empathy that you feel for religion, God, and even hell and the devil. It's really interesting, and I love how this is based off of the webtoon of the same name, and I can't wait to check out next episode of Hellbound. So let me know in the comment section below what you thought about episode 1 of Hellbound. Did you like it? Did you not like it? What did you think of it? And what do you think is going to happen this season in Hellbound? Remember, there's only 6 episodes, so everything's going to be going fast, really, really crazy, and I can't wait. So let me know in the comment section below about the questions I just asked. And I'll see you guys in the next review video. And be sure you tune in next week for my episode 2 review of Hellbound.